This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at Masters of the Universe Origins, Point Dread, and the Talon Fighter, Mystical Outpost, and Flying Vehicle. This is another one that was based on a toy from the 80s, like most of the Origins items are. We got the beautiful box art that MOTU is known for, showing you the outpost, the vehicle, and how that can attach to the Castle Grayskull. We have some additional artwork in the back, and of course the cross cell. With the mighty Talon Fighter perched atop the Eldritch Arc, the mysterious Point Dread traveled through time and space before Sorceress merged it to Castle Grayskull. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Isn't that adorable? We of course get the instruction booklet for assembling it. Here we have the parts of Point Dread. Now, one of the nice things about this set is it does come with the computer system here that is plastic with stickers. The original vintage version just had a folding cardboard piece that went in that instead. And we can attempt to snap this together like so. Here we have the perch. Also fits on top of there. Oh man. The canopy is kind of scratched up on this one. I hope those were about. Don't know if you can see it or not. The Origins version of the Talon Fighter comes with an actual plastic, clear plastic glass for the windshield. The vintage version did not have that. And this is actually really nice that it's a separate piece also. Anybody who collects Transformers knows that the clear plastic used as a main body part tends to break easily. Inside the Talon Fighter, we have a bunch of details. We have handholds for the figures. We've got some extra equipment, safety, extinguisher, axe, what looks like a fly swatter. Not sure why you would need that in your vehicle. Controls. Here are the seats. The way it's designed, it looks like it should fit characters side by side, but they actually sit there front and back, meaning that that is going to be really uncomfortable on your crotch probably. Close that part up. Let's go ahead and insert the wings. Let's go ahead and attempt to insert the wings. Oh my god. Let's try the other side. And this is why you watch my videos, to see those moments when I look like an idiot. There we go. Got one in. Got the other one in. We also have the landing gear / talons. We have the play handle, which, unlike the previous vintage version, is removable. So you can put it in there, and you can take it back off again later, which will make it easier to display, honestly. Because one thing to note, doesn't stand on its legs when the handle is in place. The Talon Fighter here also comes with 2 items that you can put on top. We have a set of blasters, which can rotate like so. Doesn't look too bad, honestly. Or, to match with the look of the vintage version, we have the radar dish. That can also go onto the top of it. I actually think the radar dish looks better, but then it might be because I'm more familiar with the look of the vintage version before this came out. But it also makes it a little bit more unique. We can open her up. Actually, I'm going to move Grayskull out of the way for the moment. You can fit a couple of vintage or not vintage, the Masterverse figures in here. You can have He-Man and Teela here piloting it. And we have the Perch, which is what makes this Point Dread. And the Talon Fighter. Da-da-da. Of course, Point Dread and the Point Dread comes apart because this portion eventually can be hooked onto the top of Castle Grayskull. Now, what they did with Origins, which was a good idea, was they decided to make this so that you could turn the rest of it into like a base outpost of some sort. Probably not being manned by Evil Lyn, but you know. There are some issues though with the Origins version. It may not stand out quite so much at the moment, but you'll notice that this seems a little short. It would look better definitely if it was about another inch taller. And part of the reason why, if you look at this, the figures are taller than the inside of Point Dread. Why they decided to do that, I don't know. Because, and I'll show you in a moment, because I do have the vintage Point Dread and the Talon Fighter. But this should be, you know, I would say at least the bottom section should be about an inch taller, and the top section should also be about an inch taller, so you can fit the figures in there. Because otherwise, in order to have the figure in the console room, they basically need to be almost seated like this, and that just looks ridiculous. Although I guess technically it does kind of match the way the male Masters of the Universe characters looked. It's also the only way you can actually get them to look out the window. But as I mentioned before, I do have a vintage Point Dread and the Talon Fighter to compare this to. Now, as you can see, the vintage Point Dread itself is at least an inch taller than the Origins version. It's also wider, and the Perch actually spins a lot easier. because this one, it's so tight it doesn't really spin at all. Surprisingly though, the Talon Fighter itself is in fact larger than the vintage version. Looks like it's a good, what, 10 to 20% larger. Now, part of the reason for that generally seems to be that they were trying to make the vehicles in Origins compatible with the Masterverse scale figures as well. And overall, that seems to be true, and that works out. As mentioned before, unfortunately, I don't have the cardboard computer, but you can see the figures can, in fact, stand in the vintage one with no problem. They're like, even the vintage figures won't fit in side Point Dread on the Origins version. And that, I think, was a big flaw in their design. So again, you can see that there's no actual clear plastic screen on the vintage version. Although we do have the radar dish. It's kind of funny though that they went with this lighter blue instead of the darker blue, because everything else, the colors are not a bad match to the vintage version. Also on the vintage version, unfortunately, I don't have most of the stickers on here anymore. They have fallen off. The equipment's roughly the same, although it seems like it's more detailed in the vintage version. But also the top for it just pops off really easily. And when you look at the Origins version, it is actually on a pin to help hold it in place. Actually, I wonder. They also made the little pegs on the feet and the perch compatible with the vintage and Origins version, so that's kind of cool. So what I'm going to want to show you now is how you can attach the Point Dread to the Castle Grayskull. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at taking apart, again, Point Dread here. And we will fit this on top of Castle Grayskull, like so. And we can perch the Talon Fighter on top of that. Of course, this will return us to the other issue that I had mentioned before, where when you turn around, even on Castle Grayskull, the figure doesn't fit underneath Point Dread when it's attached. You can go back to doing squatty knees though. Stick the figure in there. But to me, that just looks terrible. But wait, I do have a vintage Castle Grayskull that is not in the best condition, but it is good enough to show you how Point Dread and Talon Fighter work on that one. So let's go ahead and bring these two together. And there you have it. You can see here again that on the Origins version, this is shorter than on the vintage one. I would show you what how the figure fits back here, but I actually don't have the floor for the vintage one there, unfortunately. Uh, when I bought it, the people I bought it from had told me, like, it shouldn't be that hard to get the missing parts. That was wrong. Trying to get the vintage parts for Castle Grayskull, not only is it difficult, but it's pretty expensive. So anyway, this concludes our look at Castle Grayskull with the Point Dread and Talon Fighter. I hope you enjoyed this. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace and love. Just a quick little additional bit here at the end. So, as I mentioned before, on the Talon Fighter, you can pull off the handle, which you would use to fly it around, for display purposes. However, what I have learned, you can't pull off the feet or the wings after they are attached. Or at least I couldn't. When I tried, it felt like it was going to break. So, that makes it hard to transport and store it if you're, putting it away and no longer displaying it in your collection. Or in my case, this is actually a second one I got because I wanted to have a stunt version to take with me to do photos outside, which I haven't done in a while, and I really need to go out and do it again. But I just wanted to point that out for when you buy this. It also does have a flight stand on the bottom. So if you have a flight stand, you can attach it and have it look like it's flying. Of course, the only two vehicles that came with flight stands are the Wind Raider and the Jet Sled with Prince Adam. And unfortunately, they aren't putting out flight stands on their own. Anyway, that was just a quick update. Thanks for listening.